Hey, yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com. Well, I finally, after a few months off, was able to get back to the tables last night and played some 1-2 No Limit over at Planet Hollywood. And even though it did not go well, I wanted to do a quick recap video and just kind of let you guys know some of the big hands, some of the misplays that I made, and really just everything. So let's get right to it. So was pretty excited to get to play. As you guys know, my money has been a little tight and things haven't exactly been working out the way I'd hoped. But I was able to put together a little bit of scratch, and you can figure, we gotta, the series is coming up. We gotta build up a bankroll. If we don't have a bankroll in the next month or so, what are you doing out here? So decided, you know what, let's do it. Let's see what I can get done. And ended up, like I said, playing some 1-2 over at Planet Hollywood. Bought in for standard 300. And, just kind of got chipped away. First few hands, you call a couple hands with playing slow ball, or playing small ball. I think I called one with like King 10 in the big blind. Somebody raised it to 12. I called. Couple other little, small hands like that. So I was down probably about like 20, which is pretty standard. Pretty much anytime you buy into a no limit game, by the time you post, pay the chip runner, between 1 or a 5, depending on what they bring you, and get all into the first couple rounds, you're going to be down about 15 to 20 bucks. That's just standard. So I was down about 20 and ended up picking up pocket queens under the gun. So I raised, and this is actually a guy that just sat down to my right, but he hadn't posted, he hadn't played yet. So he sat out a hand, thankfully, else I wouldn't have gotten the queens, and I ended up, making it 12, and should have raised more, but I mean, 1-2 is such a difficult game to judge the range of raises. I mean, there are some 1-2 games that play where a $9 raise is big, which is technically 4.5 times a big blind. That's a decent sized bet. But then there's other, 1-2 games where you got to raise 15 or 18, which is just crazy. So 1-2 plays a very wide range, I would say. So I raised it to 12 and got 5 callers, which you don't want to see when you have pocket queens. Though the Mega Beat jackpot is up to 780,000, so I was kind of hoping maybe my queens would get beat. For those of you who don't know, Harrah's is running, or now Caesars Entertainment is running a multiple property wide Mega Beat jackpot that actually, when it hits, pays out every single person that's playing across multiple properties. And it's properties in Vegas, it's properties in Atlantic City. I'm pretty sure you have one in either Tunica or Biloxi. So I mean, it's multiple different places. So apparently, like, if you're playing when it goes off, like, the bat phone rings and all action is stopped. And apparently, I mean, I haven't been playing when it happened, and everybody gets divvied up a table share. Pretty cool. I mean, especially cool if it hits. And for every, X amount of dollars that it goes up, the qualifications go down. So now it's as low as quad 9s beaten, which is still tough to do, but it's already hit twice or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. So when you figure, it's across that many different sites and you have that many hands in play, it's going to happen more often than you would, well, maybe not more often than you would think, but you get what I'm saying. So, was hoping my queens would get popped. They didn't. But that's the problem, is you don't want them to get popped a little bit. You don't want somebody to spike a set on you. You need it, if you're going to get them popped, you want them to get them popped the whole way. It's got to be quads or bust. So I ended up, I had 2 queens and got 5 callers, which terrified me. Flop came out 9-4 tray with 2 clubs. Not a terrifying flop, but in the same sense, what is somebody sitting on, the ace of ace blank of clubs, or sitting on like an ace deuce, with the straight draw and the club redraw or something. So both the small and the big blind checked to me. I ended up making it 22, I think. No, 26. I made it 26 because I figured, there were 5 callers. There's 50 something dollars in the pot. So I made it 26 and everybody folded. All right, not horrible. I can deal with that. So I ended up patting my stack. So now I was up, about 40, 50 bucks. Very next hand, pick up pocket tens. And so I end up, it was the very next hand, but I'm trying to figure out how the placement worked. Maybe I wasn't, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't under the gun. The guy did post. He mucked and it went to me. Now he would, no, maybe he was big blind. I don't know, I messed that up somehow. But when it came to the pocket tens, oh no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about the ace king hand. I apologize. Very next hand I pick up pocket tens. And again, I raised to 12. And probably should have raised a little more, whatever. Gets folded around to the cutoff who calls, and the small blind who calls, and the big blind who calls. So, okay for tens. I'm praying for the same flop that I just had with the queens. Didn't get it. Exact opposite flop. Flop came out ace king blank, and small blind checked, big blind ended up betting at it. He bet like 25 into it. And part of me, if there hadn't been the ace, I probably would have played back at him. Or if there hadn't been the ace or the king, one or the other, I might have played back at him. But the fact that both were out there, and yeah, you figure he was in the big blind. He just had to call 10 more. He might just be making a move. But there's 3 other people in the hand. There's 2 other people in the hand, including myself, obviously, or as well as myself. And it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was worth the shot. So I ended up mucking that one around. And then probably I had a couple hands where I just called a bet to see a flop and got sucked in for 10 more. Hands I probably shouldn't have been playing in the first place, but you run into some of that after not playing for 3-4 months. You really want to get back to the action, if you will. So ended up picking up pocket sevens. And this was a hand that definitely hurt, but really wasn't much you could do about it. I picked up pocket sevens, 2 off the button, or maybe it was on the button. No, it was in the cutoff. I'm sorry, it was in the cutoff. And it had folded around to me. So I simply threw in, with sevens, I raised it up to 10. And small blind folded, dealer folded, small blind folded, big blind called. Okay. Flop comes up 8-7 tray, 2 clubs. Don't like clubs, but what's the likelihood he's on a flush draw? I like the set, so maybe I'll boat and we'll get really happy. So end up, he checks, comes around to me. I bet, I want to say 18-ish. 16. I bet 16 because it was 3 red, 1 white. He calls. All right. I don't like that call because I'm really trying to think of where's he at. Maybe he's sitting on some type of straight draw. He could be sitting on 5-6 or 9-10. I'm really hoping he's not on the flush draw, but at the same time, you've got to bet your 3 of a kind there. You got to charge him to draw. And if you get unlucky, you get unlucky, which I did. So turn card comes out a blank. I want to say it was, I don't know, it wasn't a 10. It was a low blank. I think it was like a deuce. So technically there was even more, straight possibilities out there now. If I'm not mistaken, it was a deuce. And not a club. All right, good. So put in a bet. I want to say I bet 55 or so. So now I'm really trying to charge him. I'm figuring he's on some type of draw. I'm praying maybe he just has ace-8, and he'll call me down. But I'm thinking he's on some type of draw here. So I bet 55, and he calls pretty quickly, which made me think if he was on the draw, I would have thought that he would have popped it there just to get the equity of maybe I would fold. So that kind of threw me off, but he also only had like another 60 behind. So river card comes, like everything came on the river. A 6 of clubs. So now the straight gets there. He was on the 9-10. Technically, if he was on the 4-5, the straight gets there. If he was on the clubs, the flush gets there. I mean, it was a bad card. And I really felt that I was beat. As soon as it hit, I really felt I was beat. But, I mean, and then to make it even better, he bets out. He goes all in. So, okay, I mean, he's got 60 behind. I think it was like, or 58 behind. With the, with the amount of money, I'm getting 3 to 4, almost 4 to 1 of my money, or 3.5 to 1 of my money. Essentially, and even though I'm pretty sure that I'm beat, there is still that possibility that maybe he called me pre-flop with pocket 10s or pocket jacks and thinks he's still good. Or maybe he somehow didn't have, maybe he had the bottom end of the straight and it didn't come and now he's got his pair of 6s or the, 6-9 part of the straight. Yeah, that was lofty thoughts there. Or maybe, he was sitting on, again, like an ace-8 type of hand and thought I was posturing the whole way. I mean, regardless, yeah, maybe I could have saved the $60, but I don't know. I mean, I'd say the person who's good enough to fold there, who's good enough to fold correctly there every time, isn't going to be playing a 1-2 game. Their name is Phil Ivey or their name is Daniel Negreanu or, they're not playing a 1-2 game. So, I don't know. I mean, could I have gotten away from it? For $60, I don't think I could have, honestly. I don't think I could have. And I didn't. And he flips over Queen Jack of clubs. So, is what it is. Really would have been nice if that, if I could have voted when he hit the flush. That would have been nice, but it didn't happen. So that hand cut me down to about, I mean, I dropped over $100 in that hand. I dropped probably like $1.30 in that hand. So now I'm down to about $1.50, $1.60 of my stack size, maybe $1.70. Pick up Ace King, like 4 hands later, where the guy right next to me is a good player. I played with him before. I'm pretty sure he's Thai. As I looked at it, I saw his phone and all the font was in Thai, I believe. And he's a good player. I played with him a few times before. So ends up like, I believe it went fold to him, and he raised it to 18, and I have Ace King. And, I'm stinging still a little bit from that, so I decided, let's play small ball. Rather than, my thought was either play small ball or shove, and I didn't think I could really shove from 18 to 150, And maybe if my stack was under 100 or around 100, I could have gotten away with a shove there, but I don't think I could have shoved, from $18 to 150. That just would have been too much. So I played small ball, just made the call. Came around, 2 other people called. Again, showing the disparity of 1-2. Guy raises 9 times the big blind and gets 4 callers or 3 callers. Kind of crazy. So flop comes up, like 10. I want it like 10-8-6, 10-6-4, 3 random cards, random suits, total rainbow, and guy ends up in the big blind, small blind checks, big blind bets, like 12. This guy raises it to like 36, and I just got out. If he would have bet, I might have played back at him, because I'm figuring at that point he's either got a big pocket pair, or a pocket pair probably above, the 10, or he's in an ace king, ace queen type of hand as well. So, ace queen, I'm beautiful there. Ace king, we're chopping. Pocket queens, I still have 6 outs. So, but I let it go, and I said, let's just keep playing small ball, and it is what it is, and we'll just, go from there. So let that hand go. It dropped me down a little bit. Had one hand that actually I picked up a ace deuce on the button and just called the big blind. Two people had called before that, and then a small and big called, or big check. So there were five of us in the pot, and flop came out. I had the ace of spades, mind you. Or no, I had the ace of clubs. I had the ace of clubs, deuce of hearts or something, and flop came out like 9, 8, 4, two spades. Check, 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 check. Turn card hits another spade. Check, 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 check. River card hits another spade. And I mean, I could just tell from the way that the two people checked. I mean, they were damn near, doing this with their cards. Like, they were so done with it. So it came around all the way around to me, and I put like 12 into it. And you fold. I mean, almost instantly. So I took down that pot. And made some speech of, I didn't have the ace of spades, but it was I had a spade or something, as I mucked. So that ended up getting me up to, I mean, it was a small pot. That was, $10, whatever. And then had another hand with, what was the one that really, really cleared me out? I'm trying to think back here. Yeah, that hand definitely hurt. So the hand that really, really cleared me out was when I made a post about it on Facebook about I really misplayed this hand. And I did. I really did. So I pick up ace-6 of spades on the button or one off. No, on the cutoff. So I simply just call. I just call the $2, and the guy on the button makes it 16 or 17. 16, I believe. And two people had called before that, and I really felt that this was just a steal attempt. And I don't know why I really felt that, because he wasn't that crafty of a player, but I just read it as a steal attempt. I mean, partly because it was such a high bet. I mean, I just read he is trying to steal. So, it comes back around to me, and I make the call. And I know I shouldn't have, but, sometimes when you're a little stuck, you start overreaching, and this was one of those times, and I admit it, I overreached. And then, I guess that the thought process in my mind was maybe even if he's doing something like 2 jacks, if I hit an ace, I'm golden. But then you also have to have the thought process of what if he's doing it with ace jack or ace king or ace queen, then I'm screwed. Again, all reasons why I shouldn't have called in the first place. So, flop, of course, comes up an ace. Comes up ace jack blank. So he checks, which automatically scares me. Now I'm essentially in shutdown mode. I'm like, you had the lead, now you just checked. Why, you paid to take it, control. Why would you check? It does not make sense. So I, immediately am in like, okay, I'm done with this hand. Even though I hit my ace, I know I'm second best, whatever. And then, of course, I hit my money card, to quote my good buddy Dennis, and a 6 pops on the turn. And that brought me back in. I tried to get out, and they pulled me back in. And it's tough because, I mean, honestly, I probably should have been able to get away from it because yes, it was 2 pair, but he could have been sitting on ace jack. He could have been sitting on a set of jacks. He could have been sitting on a set of aces. There were just so many other hands that just, for my sake, I should have gotten away from it. But 2 pair always brings you in. Like, 2 pair is such a sucker hand because you feel like it's so much better than it is when it's not. It is not that great. And yet you always feel like it is. So ends up, he then bets out, which again, makes me feel like he was, trying to check his strength on the flop. And he bets like 25 or so. So I end up calling. And I'm still a little scared, I'm still kind of in a check call type of mode. Then on the river, a queen hits. And now, I mean, that really sucks because technically, what if he was sitting on king 10 and he just, hit a crazy gut shot? Or what if he was sitting on ace queen? Now that adds just another hand that can beat me, or a queen, or a set of queens. And again, a hand I shouldn't have been in from the beginning. He ends up betting 65, I think. And I think about it for a while. And I almost really should have realized that all I could really beat there was a bluff. Because pretty much any hand, a bluff or ace king, those are really the only two hands that I could beat that would play kind of the way they played. Because he figures he has top on the flop, so that's why So that's why he would have checked away his strength, which makes sense. And then turn card, he figures, okay, well, I got to get some money out of it, all right. And then I come along, so that ace king does make sense, but so does ace jack. Technically, so does ace queen. So does pocket jacks. So does pocket aces. I mean, there were so many more hands that made sense that could beat me rather than hands that I could really do anything against. And for that reason, I should have stayed the hell away. I didn't, and I ended up making the call. And sure enough, he rolls over ace jack. So I was dead on the flop. My read on the flop was good. The problem was I spiked a bad one of three cards, in the deck that could keep me on the hook, and essentially got 85 more $90 out of me that it shouldn't have. So now I'm down to like $40. I'm pretty much, tapped at this point. And rebuy for another 100, so I'm back up to about $1.40. And I still feel like I'm playing okay. I mean, that was a bad misstep, obviously. That was a bad play. That was a bad hand. I mean, even with my justification of, he was trying to steal, still, So, pretty unhappy about that, but I still feel that it's a table that has enough dead money at it. I mean, there's like 3 solid players here, but there's 4 not that solid players, how I'm looking at it, and like 2 that were kind of, who knows. So, I mean, one guy, there was a dude there who was obviously in town on business, drinking his life away, playing poker. That's the guy you want at the table, making calls that he shouldn't have, whatever. That's the guy you want. Then another guy sat down. Sadly, the dude next to me cleared him out when he hit his set on the river. Though he was simply getting him back for a hand earlier when the dude boated on the guy on the river, so all good. But that was sadly a guy who got cleaned out when I was pretty happy because he was dead money like you wouldn't believe. But so now I'm sitting at about $1.40, $1.50-ish. Pick up I want to say I raised with an ace jack type of hand, and everybody mucked. Yeah, it was ace jack, and everybody mucked. So I took that down, built my stack up a little bit. Obviously not much. I posted. I missed my blind by one hand, and when I posted, it came around to me, and I had jack, king queen. And so I made a raise off that when 2 people had already called, or 3 people had called, and everybody folded, so I took that down. Had a hand that would have been really nice. I had jack 10, and I called it had been raised to 10, and I called the 10, but then it was re-raised to 22, or no, 25, and I'm like, I just can't do that, for jack 10. I should have, because 3 other people called in front of me, so based on the money, I should have, but didn't. Flop came up ace king, and then on the turn was a queen, and one dude had two pair, one dude had a set. Or no, both of them had two pair. I'm sorry. Yeah, one. I think one had ace king, one had ace queen. I don't remember what it was. All I know is I would have won a good pot. I would have tripled up. So that hand was sad. But the hand that cleared me out when I was sitting at about a buck 40, 50, 30, 60, in there somewhere. Picked up ace queen, and it was, how did that play? Sorry, I'm trying to reconstruct this in my hand. I was a little pissed afterwards, so I blanked some of it out apparently. God, how did that come? Sorry, I apologize, guys. I mean, this is like, I'm trying to replay it in my head here. I want to say that I had raised initially, that I was like under the gun plus 2 or 3, and that I had raised initially, and to probably 12, and then the lady called, and then the guy re-raised to like 25. So it folded around to me. Thought, all right, see what happens here. So I ended up calling. That's right. Okay, so I ended up calling. Then the lady called, and immediately the flop came out, Queen Jack blank, and ended up going. I checked. The lady checked. Guy bet 25 or so. And I probably should have raised here just to see where I was at and just to, get the rest of the money. And I didn't. Turn card. All right, I'm sorry. I just called. The lady called. She was all in at this point. She didn't have enough to cover. Turn card hits a king. And this card scares me because in my mind I'm thinking, what if he had ace king pre-flop, which is what I put him on. Like, for whatever reason, that was like my immediate thought when he raised. My thought was he's got ace king. Don't know why I called if that's what I thought, but I still did. So now I'm kind of worried. I'm like, shit, did he really just hit a 3-outer on me and whatever? So again, I check, and he puts in a bet, and it's like a $60 bet. So at this point, I've got like $100 in front of me. I think he put in 50 actually. I'm pretty sure he put in 50 because I had like 103 in front of me. And I figure, you know what? If I'm gonna call this bet, I'm gonna call a bet on the river. I might as well shove here, and maybe I can get him off of a hand, that he was just posturing with. Maybe I can get him off. Maybe he has a jack, an ace, jack type of hand, and he'll call me. I also figure I've got, technically I got the draw down to a 10, so there's 3 10s. I figure even if he has ace king, there's an additional 2 queens and 3 10s that give me a solid hand, that at least would give me the chop if he has ace king. So, 2 other queens that would give me the win, whatever, you see what I'm saying. So I ended up shoving, and he called almost instantly, and I said, you have ace king? And he goes, no, I have 2 jacks. So I'm thinking, okay, that's cool, you got 2 jacks, meaning he has a hand like ace jack. So I'm almost thinking I won this hand. River card hits an ace. Now I'm feeling really good. Now I'm like, all right, I've got 2 pair. I've got ace queen. This is beautiful, And then he rolls over. He had pocket jacks. So he had a set of jacks. And I said, oh, that's not 2 jacks. He goes, well, you know what I mean. You thought I had ace king. I said, I asked, do you have ace king? And you said, no, I have 2 jacks. And it kind of pissed me off because he kind of slow rolled it as well. Like, just how he did it was like, he called, so I automatically flipped over. And, like, he kind of hesitated for a second and then rolled over the jacks. And so with him hesitating and the fact that he said I had 2 jacks, I thought that I won the pot. So I was a little pissed about that. And ended up getting up. I was cleaned out. I wasn't going to sit anymore. I mean, I could have played more, but I just didn't. That left a bad taste in my mouth, and I mean, it was already like 2:15 at this point. So I said, you know what? Let's just be done for the night, and we'll come back tomorrow, and we'll go from there. So that's what I ended up doing, and packed up. Bad session, bad welcome back to the table. Dropped 4, but some nights it's just what it is. I obviously gave away about $140 of that, $150 of that on that one hand where at the ace-6 that I should not have been in. The set versus the flush, that's kind of just life. I mean, the last hand that I got popped on, maybe I could have gotten away from it, just by telling myself, oh, hey, he's got ace-king, let it go, which I almost did. But I didn't, and that's got to be partly attributed to rust of, not playing for a while. That's got to be somewhat attributed to just not, being as sharp and not really being where I need to be. So it was a rude awakening, but it is what it is, and there's not much I could do about it, So at the end of the day, I'm just doing what I gotta do, and figure I'm gonna go hit it up today and see what happens. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully everything goes well today, and if anything, we'll be doing another recap video here shortly. So as always, thank you guys for checking out my videos. There you have it, my first poker recap since January outside of one tournament at Casino Arizona. So it feels good to be back in front of the camera doing poker recap videos, I gotta say that. Hopefully my next one will be more of a positive note. But regardless, I'm gonna be sticking with and doing my thing. So, on that note, thank you guys for checking out my videos. As always, I am Matthew Maley. This is MatthewMaley.com. Of course, you can check out all my videos on MatthewMaley.com. You can also check me out directly up on YouTube. Just search for Matthew Maley Poker or MatthewMaley.com. You can check me out up on Facebook. I post all my videos there. I'm a little behind. I'm catching up. I'm sorry. But I also post updates during hands, or not during hands, but during my sessions, as well as on Twitter. On Facebook, you can check me out at Matthew Maley Poker. On Twitter, you can follow me at Matthew Maley. And finally, I'm always posting stuff up on Instagram, so check me out on Instagram at Matthew Maley Poker. So there you have it. First poker recap in a while. Hopefully you'll be getting them daily. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, y'all.